Let's go to Evan from New Hampshire. Evan, welcome to the David Pakman Show. What's going on?
Thank you. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
So a month or so back, I was having a dinner with some people that my mom's are friends with, and
Okay.
the man in the couple, the man, he was, I don't know if he was a Trumpist, but he was a Republican.
Okay.
And I was talking to him, and it was really interesting because he seemed to have this idea if we all just sat down together and had a good talk, we could work these things out. But he was also of the mindset that, there's both sides and you should hear out both sides. And so one of the things we started off the conversation with was on climate change. He said there's scientists on both sides, scientists that say 2050 and scientists that say it's not going to happen for hundreds of years. And it was just absolutely wild, some of the things that he went on to say, where it's like he thinks that the middle is the perfect place to be.
Right.
And the outrageous part is that, like, when you have one extreme on the end of it, and then you have something that's a moderate view, and then you find the middle ground, it's going to be extraordinarily extreme. And I think I noticed that with your interview with Ramaswamy. I believe that's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Where he has the idea where, oh, you can just sit down and you can reason with people, and there's a middle ground. There's some truth to what they're saying, but like maybe there is some truth, but where that truth is located is like really far to the side.
Yeah, this is called the middle ground fallacy. This is the middle ground fallacy. And oftentimes this is a fallacy that afflicts what I call enlightened centrists. And I do use the term enlightened as a sort of pejorative. I don't really think that they're enlightened. And the idea would be like, okay, someone says the earth is flat and someone says the earth is round. And then we go, well, the truth is somewhere in between those two sides. And of course we know
it's a circle.
Exactly. It's a flat circle or something like that, right? Rather than a sphere. It doesn't really make sense. And the problem with middle ground fallacy is it just ignores the validity and the strength of each argument. It's not weighted. So, for example, if I were making economic predictions, I might say there might be a recession or there might not. Great. So right now we've just evenly weighted recession versus no recession. In theory, we could add information and then we might say, okay, there's an 85% chance of a recession within the next 5 years versus a 15% chance of no recession. We've now weighted that probability in some way. And you could come, that probably actually isn't even the best example because we're notoriously terrible at making economic predictions. But the problem is too many enlightened centrists are happy to just pick the middle ground between whatever are the positions that are out there. And the reason it doesn't work is the right has moved that right post further and further to the right, making the middle an increasingly extreme and sometimes nonsensical position.
Yeah, and then it's also I don't want to take up too much time, but it's also when one side doesn't even acknowledge the other side should have rights or should live as a human being, makes it extraordinarily difficult. And just I find that tagline upsetting because it just adds way too much validity to views that are horrible and says, well, it's okay that I have these views if we can just sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, that's the other issue when it comes to certain questions and we're talking about providing or denying rights to people. I'm also very uncomfortable using this find the middle idea there for particular reasons that you're pointing out. So all very well said, Evan.
Thank you.
Evan from New... Oh, sorry. I thought we were wrapping. I accidentally hung up on you there, Evan. But excellent call. All points very, very well made, which I really appreciate.